Many PhD students doing qualitative research reach a point where their supervisor seems to keep changing their expectations. In one meeting with them, they tell you to go and focus on a specific thing. So you go off and you focus on that thing. Then in the next meeting, everything seems to have completely changed. Ugh. And you're left thinking, have I misunderstood something here? Am I doing this wrong? And what do they want from me? This can be one of the most destabilizing experiences in the whole PhD journey. Because this person, who is supposed to be this guiding light through the fog, appears to be constantly changing their mind. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what's actually going on here and how you can respond to it in a way that gives you more clarity rather than more confusion. I've spent over 20 years helping qualitative researchers get clear on what they're doing. And when it comes to a PhD, supervisors are a big part of that journey. So it's really important that we figure out what's going on with them. Let's get into it. Most PhD students who find themselves in this situation think that this is just a case of their supervisor being inconsistent. But more often than not, the real issue is this. You're expecting stable answers in a process where clarity emerges through the work. A PhD is not the execution of a fixed plan. It's the development of something that doesn't fully exist yet. And in qualitative research, this is even more pronounced. Your concepts, your interpretation, your focus, these are things that are often being refined as you go. And your supervisor is coming along for that journey. They are also adapting on the fly to what it is you're bringing to the table. So you might spend several weeks refining your interview questions only for your supervisor to say, I think your conceptual framework needs tightening. Or you produce a full draft of your findings chapter and the feedback is this. This is detailed, but I'm not really seeing your analytical voice yet. What often feels like changing expectations on the part of your supervisor is your thinking becoming more precise over time, them catching up to that and offering you solutions. To help this make a bit more sense, we need to break it down into 3 things. It's easy to assume that your PhD supervisor knows exactly what your project should look like. But in reality, they understand what the research process looks like. They don't yet understand what your study will become. They are on the journey with you. And to think of this another way, if all of the answers were already really clear, this wouldn't be a PhD. 2 things are true at once here. Your supervisor has experience of guiding research. They know the research process. They are also learning about the project alongside you. This means that their feedback will evolve, not because they're arbitrarily changing their mind, but because the research project is becoming clearer. The second thing we need to focus on is that qualitative research develops through iteration. Clarity comes through engagement, through reading, through writing, through analysing, through refining. So when your supervisor says to you, focus on X, and then you go away and you focus on X and you go back to them and they go, focus on Y. That is not necessarily contradiction. That is just the next layer of thinking becoming visible. The third thing to note on this topic is often that it's about unclear expectations rather than changing expectations. This is where most of the frustration sits. Not in the feedback itself, but in the gap between what is said and what is meant. For example, you submit your literature review draft and the feedback says this needs to be more critical. But what does that mean in practice? Less description, more comparison, clearer positioning of your study? Or your supervisor writes, strengthen your argument, and you're left thinking, do they want more evidence? Do they want a different claim? And this can be where you're left just kind of guessing, and you get to thinking, well, whatever I do is never going to be enough. We can turn this around by shifting your role. Your job as a PhD researcher is not to interpret vague signals from your supervisor. Your job is to make those expectations visible and discuss them, clarify them, confirm them. And here are 5 ways that you can do that. Firstly, translate the feedback into something concrete. Ask a question like this. When you say develop this, what would that look like on the page? For example, if I revised this section well, would that mean adding more literature or clarifying my interpretation? This shifts you from guessing to shared understanding. Secondly, clarify the work you're being asked to do. A lot of confusion comes from not knowing what the actual task is. You could ask them, is this a thinking task or do you require some written output? Because sometimes your supervisor is asking you to rethink something or read more widely or just sit with a question. It's not to produce anything written. And if you misread that, you could spend days writing something that wasn't really required. Thirdly, define what good enough looks like. This is one of the best questions you can ask your PhD supervisor. What would be good enough for the next supervision meeting? For example, would an outline of my literature review themes be enough, or are you expecting a written draft? This prevents overworking and helps you focus your effort appropriately. Fourthly, paraphrase your PhD supervisor's expectations back to them. At the end of a meeting, ask this question. So, my priority is A rather than B. Is that right? For example, you might say, so for next time, I should focus on clarifying the conceptual framework rather than analysing more data. Is that right? In terms of identifying priorities, this gets you on the same page. Fifthly and lastly, create a simple written record of the meeting. Write them a short follow-up email. Just to check I've understood, before the next meeting, I'll focus on X and bring Y. This can be a really effective way of setting the tone for how you want that supervision relationship to play out and making those expectations visible over time. Here is the shift that tends to settle this most effectively. Your role is not to read your PhD supervisor's mind. Your job is to develop clarity in a process where clarity is not provided up front. Because when you understand that, your experience will shift from they keep changing their mind to this is how research becomes clear. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you've enjoyed it, I will link to another couple of videos on the screen right now that you might also find useful. So go and check them out. I'll see you in there.